Alright, it is time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix observations. The working title is Longest Season in F1 History, Verstappen Didn't Help, and Separation. But before I get into the actual observations, I do have to I do have to make a preamble, drop a preamble in this video, right? And that is that the F1 season went off without a hitch, despite all the things that are happening. Right, allow me to repeat that. The F1 season went off without a hitch, despite all the things that are happening. There's World War III brewing. If it hasn't already started, who knows what the historians will say. So, well, there's World War III brewing. On account of World War III brewing, there's a looming fuel crisis. America is supposedly going to run out of diesel sometime soon. I can't fathom that happening. I don't even see them being out of diesel for an hour. Alright, I'm pretty sure it's already solved by the time this video is posted. If not, then then okay. Then we are really in a brave new world at that point. But yeah, the F1 season went off without a hitch. Despite the oil prices being jacked up, right? You know, whatever you're paying at the pump, that's probably not gonna come down when all of this kerfuffle with Russia and Ukraine is over. That's probably not gonna come down. And well, winter is coming. You know, the pipelines, the gas pipelines got blown up by whomsoever you know, point fingers at this point, right? Because the F1 season has gone off without a hitch. At this point, they're all in the same boat. They're all the same. But you know, Putin, he's an MK acid. Biden, he's an MK acid. Who the fuck else? Who's this new brother in Britain? This is y'all switching prime ministers like some other shit. It's fine, you know. You just switch one MK acid for another. It's fine. You know, for the people who have some consternation about that's MK Ultra and all of that, you know, the mind control armies or mind control people and all of that. Look up Zbigniew Brzezinski, right? Go look him up. It's Zbigniew Brzezinski. It might even be Zbigniew Brzezinski. I'm not Polish. He's a Polish brother. Well, was a Polish brother. He's passed, of course. Died in 2017. Zbigniew Brzezinski. Brzezinski. Go look him up. He's one of the founders of the Trilateral Commission. He's was a big time mover and shaker in he was a big time mover and shaker in the whole foreign affairs scene and just the whole geopolitical scene. He wrote some books. He's the guy who broached the whole issue. And what was his former position? He was some advisor to the former president, Lyndon B. Johnson. Anyway, I might be wrong on that. But anyway, go look him up. Big time mover and shaker. He's the guy who was broaching in his books. Of course, he's the guy because all the information that matters is in the books. Ain't no one reading books, right? So he's the guy who broached the whole cyborgs / cybertoids and robotoids and animatronics and the whole weather control stuff. He's the guy that broached all of that stuff. I mean, that aside, the CFR is pretty upfront with all this stuff as well, and the UN and all involved parties. The Rockefeller Foundation, they put out, what was that? Operation Lockstep? Anyway, gonna have to say less at some point. But yeah, you know, all this stuff, you know, you can call it conspiracy theories if you want. I mean, this information is coming from very high places. The thing you can call a quote-unquote conspiracy theory is perhaps the secret space program, but they've run their disinformation campaign on that. Who was it that actually broached that? Was it Bill Tompkins? I might be getting his name wrong, but he was there at the Battle of what was that? Battle of Los Angeles. People supposedly say there was a UFO in the sky, so he was there. He's the one who broached the whole secret space program, Bill Tompkins, now. And yeah, you can still look him up if you want to, right? But these are the guys. There's other guys as well who've broached all manner of other topics. But yeah, when the F1 season goes off without a hitch, and winter is coming, and there's a fuel crisis looming, and there's gonna be food shortages. Believe you me, there's gonna be food shortages at some point. And Thanksgiving just happened in the USA. Everyone's driving around to meet family, and everyone's eating all the food that's remaining. And well, word on the street is there's no new food coming in. The truckers aren't moving. They either don't have diesel to move, or there's no produce to move. Right, but the F1 season went off without a hitch. It was very important to keep the circus going. Right, very important, so that you whomsoever you are, black, white, you name it, yellow, purple, whatever, so that you did not prepare for the winter. And it's not your regular winter, it's a different one. The gas supply has been halved, or more than halved. The fuel supply has been halved, or more than halved. All for what? Some brand new orchestrated proxy war? Okay, you run that. Y'all run that. Winter's coming. And, well, I hope everyone prepared. It's gonna be cold. They saw fit to burn a whole lot of resources running the circuses for all of us. Right, they saw fit to keep doing that. And well, we'll see if there's any, there are going to be consequences for all of that. We'll just have to see what they are. I mean, we're still going to see a whole lot of ramifications for the lockdowns that happen. Never mind all this tomfoolery going on right now. You see, I can't even call the politicians incompetent at this point. Like, they're doing it on purpose. Alright? They're doing it on purpose. They are overtly malicious right now. Right? No sensible politician is continuing with the current state of things on their present trajectory. They're just not. You're going to change course. You have to. But oh well, that didn't happen. The circus went on. I'll be very interested to see if any teams have issues in the manufacturing processes for next season, either in materials acquisition or in the actual power demands that go into manufacturing these F1 cars and parts. I'm very curious to see what happens there. Right, but oh well. Be very interested to see if they actually orchestrate another world war. Whoa. Okay, now I'm gonna talk less, because then I'm gonna have to delve into the whole Mustache Man and Fabian Society and all that. And quite frankly, I'm not researched enough for that. So be aware the F1 circus went on despite all these looming crises. And it's going to keep on going on next season. Even if this Russia-Ukraine war expands just a bit, who knows? It's a tasty proxy war they've cooked up for us. But I digress. On to the observations. Alright, so Verstappen did not help Checo Perez. Right, he absolutely did not help him. And he was actually in position to help him. It would have been something if Maximilian started backing up Leclerc into Checo Perez. Leclerc so that he could try and force an overtake that way, or even just so that he could catch up to him a lap sooner. Right, that would have been interesting. But Maximilian didn't do any of that, and he gave some lip service excuse afterwards as to why he didn't do that. Oh, that wouldn't be in the spirit of it or something. Okay. Okay, Maximilian. Here's the bottom line, right? The bottom line is that your actions have now cost your teammate second place in the Drivers' Championship. Your actions have done that. Right, it would have been one thing if the Brazil incident just, would have faded away and not actually mattered because Checo would have finished ahead of Leclerc anyway on strategy or something. That would have been one thing. But instead, what's happened is Leclerc has finished ahead and he's run a one-stop. Right, so he's had to make his tires last an awful long time. He could have turned up the heat on a Charlie Leclerc. Could have done that. Didn't do that. Wasn't worth it to help Checo Perez, I suppose. Or what is it? Was chasing. How many wins did he get for the whole season? 14 or 30? Was chasing that record more worthwhile than just helping the team secure a clean sweep? The cleanest sweep possible? I already know, it's for peak optics, right? It's for, I already know. I already loosed the details. This is all being done for Maximilian's peak optics. Right, his own engineered situation. He's pulled it off. He's managed to pull it off, and well, did Red Bull sabotage Checo's strategy? No, I don't think so. I think their strategy would have worked if Checo Perez was cleaner in his battles. I mean, not even cleaner, just stronger. He was clean, just not strong. Didn't make any contact or whatever. But even just being more clinical, right? That's the word. Just being more clinical in his overtakes, that would have helped. That would have helped him immensely. So Red Bull didn't sabotage his strategy, but at some point Checo did need a little bit of help from Maximilian Verstappen. In Max's own words, right, his own words, he said if he's in position to help, he would help. He was in position to help, he didn't help. And quite frankly, he is skilled enough to help in that situation. But otherwise, Perez, he was weak in battles in general, right? Versus Vettel, and it's not even that he's got weak racecraft, but he was just weak in approaching these overtakes. Because I'm pretty sure if he didn't run wide versus Vettel, Vettel wouldn't have overtaken him again. Well, he didn't run wide, but he missed the apex. It is what it is. But I'm pretty sure without that, Vettel would not have overtaken him again on the next straight. But then versus Sir Lewis Hamilton, he should have been smarter and just known on the first take. Right, you should have just known on the first take that I'm gonna wait till the second straight. You should have just known that. And because Checo was just weak in battles, not clinical enough, so Lewis Hamilton drives back past him in a damaged car. Just drives back past him again. But oh well, it's all the better. Season's over. Whatever decisions were made stuck. And I mean, really, it's just a shame for the bigwigs at Red Bull. Really, it's just a shame for the figureheads. Although I suppose Dr. Marco, he's not going to give that much of a shit about how things have actually panned out this season. I suppose he's not going to give him much of a shit. Unless he really did get a phone call from upper echelon telling him it's time up for his guy. Who knows? Who knows, allegedly. But yeah, this is just bad optics for the figureheads. The team, right, all their mechanics and what have you, they've had a stellar season. Like, they pulled out the hand drills at Brazil and stuff on the wing change, and they got the wheel nut sparking when it's being put back on. Like, they were on form all season. So big credit to the team, Red Bull, but all these figures, man, y'all gotta go fuck yourselves. Y'all gotta go. Y'all gotta go clean your optics. Really. I mean, the Red Bull team, alright, Maximilian's pit stop, alright, at Abu Dhabi, where they ran their gloves across his front wings to clear the slot gaps of any discarded rubber chunks, the tire chunks that were in there. Like, you don't see other teams doing this. Like, they're looking for every single edge. Like, okay, we'll attempt to reset the cleanliness of the wing for the final stint. Like, come on now. It's great, but come on now. No one else is even. None of these manufacturers are running it like this. Right, they're not the last privateer, but the last competitive privateers running it like this, looking for every single edge. Even gonna dust down the fucking front wing at a pit stop. I forget which video I heard this take on. I'm not sure if it was some new guy, some guy with under 10 subscribers. I forget his name now. It's unfortunate. It's somewhere in the YouTube algorithm, but I'm not sure if it was that channel or Cameron F1. I'm not sure which one is, but on one of the channels, the take was made that Red Bull are just a fun racing team to watch, and quite frankly, they are. And the team, right? The team that was being spoken about is like the mechanics and all the lads who make the pit stop, do the thing, and all of those guys. They're incredibly fun to watch. They've got all this ingenuity just like cooking about them for whatever reasons. Red Bull pushing limits, isn't it? But they've just got all this random ingenuity. Bust out the hand drills for a front wing change. 10-second front wing change. Whoa! Got the whole audience asking if the clocks are correct. Like, no one else is doing this. But anyway, it's unfortunate because this would have been a completely different. This would have been a completely different season for the Red Bull mechanics and the team optics without just all this fuckery that's been brewed up by all these Red Bull figureheads, right? But anyway, alright, I don't believe I'm gonna get the film for this. I don't believe I'm gonna bother with that. Although there's no next Grand Prix, so I don't really have like some editing deadline to reach, whatever. I suppose I feel like there's a deadline. I don't know if people would watch dated GP observations or what have you. Although I say that, but I've seen some other brother was uploading his takes on Monaco a whole 6 weeks after the fact. Anyway, Sainz, Hamilton, Sir Lewis Hamilton, and the Verstappen, Sir Lewis Hamilton incidents. These are worth comparing, right? Why did Sir Lewis Hamilton get penalized for going off track versus Sainz and not versus Verstappen? Right? The rules actually been applied correctly in both instances. Right? For the Verstappen one, Verstappen was actually on a collision course with him. If Sir Lewis Hamilton didn't eject the circuit, it would have been a collision, right? Then 2021 would have been a whole different mess. Right, here was Sainz. Sainz actually gave him a room to stay on circuit. Didn't actually yeah, he didn't actually threaten the edge of the circuit in any real way. Right, so Lewis Hamilton had ample space to stay on circuit. He didn't. Of course, the car jumped up over this rumble strip. It is what it is. Because Sainz actually raced with the intention of quote-unquote racing fairly, right? So Lewis Hamilton actually picked up the penalty there. Maximilian Verstappen, he was not racing cleanly, fairly, whatever word you so want to use, over the 2021 season. But we already know this. I'm just glad that, well, now there's full. Now you can see what the difference is. I'm just glad about that. So, yeah, so Lewis Hamilton did pick up damage from jumping over, what did they call him? That speed hump over there, the sleeping policeman. He jumped over that. The orange curves over there. Oh, they paint them yellow in some places. I thought those were meant to be removed from all the circuits, but anyway. I suppose if there's no Formula 3 being planned at the circuit, they're not gonna bother with removing it. So Lewis Hamilton, he got floor damage by going over that. He was told to give the position back to Sainz. And he was having difficulty keeping the car on track at turn 1. Oh man. He ran like 2 laps in a row. And quite frankly, I was wondering if something was going to fall off the car and we're actually going to see something being visibly broken. But oh well, it's just floor damage. We can't see that. But yeah, that was pretty much Sir Lewis Hamilton's race done right there. It was interesting that the Mercs looked, as Brundle described, racy. It was interesting that they looked racy to start the Grand Prix, but well, that fell away very quickly. Very quickly, and I suppose Mercedes now have a proper retrospective on where they are with this car. I still think some bigwig has paid for some extra horsepower for Mercedes, or perhaps to contextualize it correctly, they've paid to have everyone else's horsepower reduced in Brazil. Alright, Mexico, that's just that's a unique environment. But yeah, as Mercedes now have perspective on this car, and well, I will be very surprised if they stick with the zero parts concept next season. I'll be very surprised if they do that. They just might, just to prove a point that yeah, they can make it work, because we're Mercedes, we're genius engineering, German brilliance over here, so so we're gonna make this thing happen one way or the other. They might just have that attitude about it. But yeah, the car looks a bit like well, the concept looks a bit like fool's gold. But otherwise, let me break from Sir Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, Mercedes suffered their first mechanical DNF of the season, with Sir Lewis Hamilton being pulled out of the Grand Prix with hydraulic issues. I mean, it's their first one of the season. We can make a big deal about it. Doesn't really matter. Like the thing was over. So the season was over. So now one evaluation I want to make is how good is George Russell actually, and how much development grunt work did Sir Lewis Hamilton actually do? Right, there's a video that's come out, I believe from Mercedes. That's Sir Lewis Hamilton and George Russell running through photos of the season. Right, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, when they're talking about Baku, right, because they got a picture of Sir Lewis Hamilton holding his back at Baku, obviously a very, very popular picture from that weekend. And he let slip over there that while he was running the car lower than George Russell was running it, for that weekend. And that's probably the same for a lot of weekends over the season. Never mind when they put the ride height measuring device on the car at Australia. Never mind that, right? That was the only Grand Prix that they did that in, by the way. let's not go into they were running extra weight in Sir Lewis Hamilton's car at multiple Grand Prix. I mean, you'd have to be able to point that out. Where was that? Australia, we know that. Some other Grand Prix here and there, I could give you maybe 2 or 3 other Grand Prix where they might have been running some sort of measuring device on Sir Lewis Hamilton's car. But other than that, most of the development grunt work in a budget cap era was done on setup. So Sir Lewis Hamilton, I'm glad that I've just gotten corroboration for what I saw, I suppose. And that, he confirmed that, he was essentially running different setups on the car in order to try and find some sort of progress. But now we do have to evaluate how good George Russell is actually, because he has finished ahead of Sir Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship. And, the lad's good. He's good. It is what it is. He's good. There are caveats around this 2022 season, but the lad is good. There's not really much more. It's not a fluke season where he finishes ahead of Sir Lewis Hamilton because of some or other extenuating circumstances, right? It's not that. Yes, Sir Lewis Hamilton has developed the car. Yes, Sir Lewis Hamilton has been sabotaged by Maximilian Verstappen at Brazil and some other drivers at other circuits. But all this stuff is going to happen anyway. It doesn't really matter regardless, just because of Sir Lewis Hamilton running different setups, right? The result doesn't really matter. And George, he's being acclimatized to the team, so he's just running conventional weekends, right? So none of this final result doesn't really matter, but George does actually get credit for the result. And he has finished ahead of Sir Lewis Hamilton, and you could say he was luckier in some instances, and in other instances more determined, more hungry to fish out a positive result. Right? That's what I said about the fresh-faced ambition early on in the season. Right? This guy doesn't have any accolades on him yet, so every single thing that he can get matters. Yeah, Sir Lewis Hamilton, he could have perhaps gone for keeping that unique record alive. He should have, as far as I'm concerned, but he opted not to. Right? He said, even if I can catch and pass this George Russell for this win result, I'm gonna just let him have it. I'm gonna just let him have it because it means it means a lot more to George to finally break that glass ceiling than it does to Sir Lewis Hamilton to construct a new ceiling, right? Because, well, he already did that. Right, he already did that in 2021. But otherwise, George, like I said, the lad's good. As far as I'm concerned, he's the best of the new generation of drivers. He's the best of them, as far as I'm concerned. Will that prove to be the case in the final analysis? A decade, 2 decades later, we'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, I suppose the Sir Lewis Hamilton anti-fans are gonna be peddling the whole idea that George Russell, he's not even that good, or what have you, right? That one's gonna be peddled there. And, well, words will be eaten later, that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, assuming Mercedes produce a car next season, George and Sir Lewis, they're gonna put on quite a show for anyone who's in. They will put on quite a show for anyone who is so interested in seeing it. I mean, I should mention Sir Lewis Hamilton didn't want to be left on the one stop. He has his reasons for being correct, and Mercedes also have their reasons for being correct. In the final analysis, it hasn't really mattered because the car's been retired anyway, and I'm pretty sure Mercedes might have been planning to retire the car at some point. They probably saw something on the data, and they were like, oh well, this engine is probably gonna clock out, so let's just run this one stop, see what happens. Maybe the engine will last, maybe it won't. Hydraulics win. It is what it is. So Lewis not wanting to be on the one stop, I mean, it will matter if they do that. What? If they do that next season when Mercedes have a good car and it's handing a win to George Russell or a Ferrari driver or a Maximilian Verstappen, it will matter then. Here it didn't matter. It's a Hail Mary. Go for the one stop. The pit wall is throwing a Hail Mary. Driver might not like it, but you got the skill to do it, so if you didn't have the skill to do it, they wouldn't even try running the thing like that with you. Like that's just the way it is. People will say, oh, they didn't run it with George. I mean, George, no one really knew what was correct at the time, but if you're gonna do the Hail Mary, you're gonna want Tom Brady throwing the Hail Mary, right? You don't want Colin Kaepernick throwing the Hail Mary, right? You want Prime Brady throwing the Hail Mary. Even current Brady can throw the Hail Mary. It's still anyway. All right, Charlie Leclerc has secured second in the Drivers' Championship, and I suppose all credit to Leclerc. In his head, he probably feels one step closer to actually being world champion, making good on whatever promises he so made with his significant others. So it probably matters to him, right? But I will say Leclerc is quite fortunate that Maximilian Verstappen is such a scallywag, right? He's quite fortunate, because if that was one of the Mercedes drivers in that other Red Bull, or it was Sainz or what have you, and they had won championship and what have you, they probably would have backed up Charlie and made life difficult for him. They probably would have done that. But yeah, Leclerc, he's finished second in the Drivers' Championship. Really good drive to actually get the second, making that one-stop work. Really good drive by him. But it's a bit of a Pyrrhic victory at the end of it, really. Because Maximilian was so far ahead that all he could really fight for was second. Of course, Maximilian got a legal car and what have you, but if all there was to go for was second, then really you should be looking to correct the scales for next season and come correct. But anyway, Ferrari are talking good now that the off-season has started. Binotto said they're building a rocket ship, or what have you Hey, Binotto, brother. I mean, I'm surprised Binotto's still in job. But anyway, if he's talking big like that, they've got to have something quite solid ready for manufacturing. One thing I want to cover with Ferrari is that Sainz was talking loose in the media pit after the GP. Alright, I really do have to cover this. Because he said Sir Lewis Hamilton was cheeky with where he let him buy. Now, Sir Lewis Hamilton let him buy at the harbour, right? And it was really as soon as the penalty was issued, as soon as the commentators saw it come up on their screens, like, oh, Sir Lewis Hamilton been issued penalty real time, then he was out the way, right? So one, you've been let through at the harbour before the hotel section. So, Sir Lewis Hamilton is gonna ride your dirty air for all that section. And the DRS zone is like literally on the other side of the track. What rarely happens is that Sir Lewis Hamilton has been so nice to you as to where he actually lets you by, because other brothers would have let you by just before the DRS zone and stayed behind you and just overtaken you on the second straight. Right there, most of the grid would have done that. But he lets you through way before DRS. He was going to ride your dirty all the way to that section, and well, you couldn't make anything off it. So now you're going to say, oh, he didn't let me through at a good spot. Where is he supposed to let you through? You basically, what he basically simulated for you was you supposedly overtook him that lap, going after the second DRS section. That's what he simulated for you. So post DRS, Sir Lewis Hamilton's let you through, and he's gonna follow you for a whole lap to the next DRS. And you still got a problem with where he let you through on there was no way to let you through then. You were never gonna be happy with any way he let you through on the circuit. It's just a better racer. That's all it is. That's all it is. And this is where Ferrari should consider Sainz and the other Ferrari, because I suppose Sainz could grow into the role, and they're undoubtedly hoping that he does grow into some sort of role at Ferrari, be it a title challenger or a reliable number 2. But yeah, you can't be Ferrari management. you just can't be management at Ferrari and be happy hearing your guy saying, oh, Sir Lewis Hamilton was cheeky with where he let me through on the circuit. Because when you investigate the film, you're gonna say, well, where else was there to let you through then? There was nowhere else to let you through. Everywhere on the circuit would have been cheeky. Alright, and that's a driver gap. And that's something that, you know, if the cars are even, you're never gonna overcome that as Ferrari. Right, this is somewhere where Mercedes have just crushed everyone else in terms of recruitment. Or in terms of talent scouting and what have you. This is where they've just crushed everyone else. But otherwise, I'm very interested to see what Ferrari do next season with their supposed rocket ship that Binotto has seen in development. Because they're going to have some very good ideas to beat a Mercedes with extra wind tunnel time and extra budget. I tell you what, both these men, Red Bull and Ferrari, y'all going to need some... Y'all gonna need to be cooking with some heat. Oh man, Newey's papers better be on fire or something, I'll tell you what. Anyway. Lando Norris has found himself in a bit of a no man's land. He has separated himself from the midfield. This Abu Dhabi Grand Prix gave us some pretty good optics of that. Right, he was in his own race. The car is not fast enough to catch the front 3 teams, but the driver's too fast to be caught by all the cars behind him, and he's definitely way too fast for his teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who's also in no man's land. It's the wrong kind of no man's land. Alright, he's fighting with the back of the grid. He's well out of position. Alright, that might be the last race of Ricciardo's career. Might be. He could make a comeback, who knows. But it won't be with Red Bull, despite him actually moving to Red Bull now as third driver, simulator driver. Right? Despite him now moving to Red Bull, it's not gonna happen. It's absolutely not gonna happen. Why is it not gonna happen? Because Dr. Marco chooses who makes the race seats. And when Dr. Marco ejects you from that main Red Bull team, you ain't coming back. You ain't coming back, brother. As a simulator driver, yeah, sure, maybe. You got some useful experience. We'll make some. There's something worthwhile out of that. But to actually race the car, nah, it's not gonna happen. Dr. Marco would have to be dead. He would have to be dead before that happened. He would rather you see, if there's an opportunity next season to throw De Vries in, for a Grand Prix here or there in the main Red Bull team, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I wonder if COVID will still exist next season. But it'll happen. Sergio Perez gets the coup for something. Oh, this your time. This your time to freeze. We want to see what it looks like when you're in the main car and you win a Grand Prix. Who knows? But yeah, Danny Rick, he's in no man's land. Like Red Bull simulator driver, even that is no man's land. You're not coming out of there. Right? Well, you'll come out of there and go nowhere in F1. I'll tell you that much. Right? Ain't no F1 team gonna be recruiting the Red Bull simulator driver. There's too many hot shots in Formula 2. There's too many. Right, look at all these men with the names and the money. They're dropping away. Right, they're dropping out now. People are grabbing talent from Formula 2. Fresh talent too. None of this depleted talent. So Ricciardo, he's in no man's land. Right, both the McLaren drivers are in no man's land. Norris, he's in no man's land because no one can catch up to him, and he can't catch up to them guys at the front. He's car limited. Ricciardo, he's in no man's land because he's got the car in the wrong place, and now he's got a contract in the wrong place. I don't know what he's hoping for going back to Red Bull. That something happens with Checo or Maximilian, and he gets to jump into the seat, show what he can do. It's not gonna happen. Right? It's not gonna. I don't know what your advisors told you, Danny Rick, but it's not gonna happen. I tell you what, there'll be some good PR moments you can do with Red Bull. They'll have him on camera doing this and that in the back. I'll preview this circuit and that circuit. So he'll get his face out there, get some media training, maybe go TV when he's done with this. Otherwise, Norris, he's fetching interest from Dr. Marco. He's always going to fetch interest from Dr. Marco. We'll have to see if McLaren actually produce a car that's going to keep the Lando Norris contract to them. We'll have to see if that happens. Because now, you see what's going to happen with this budget cap thing is people are not going to be able to say, oh, but Red Bull has more money. Like that excuse is wearing thin. You don't really get to say it. It's one thing if you can't even stump up money for like to make budget cap, right? That would be something. I imagine Haas perhaps has that happen with them, but also at the same time don't know why the FIA wouldn't be giving the teams the spending money right on some level with you. I don't know why that wouldn't be the case. But anyway, Alpine have problems. Alpine have problems. It's funny, the season's over, but Alpine have problems. Why do Alpine have problems? Because, well, there's the Gasly Tsunoda conundrum. Alright, at the back end of the season, Tsunoda has outperformed Gasly so heavily that one can't even run the narrative that the AlphaTauri are sabotaging Gasly. For all of these Grand Prix, it wouldn't happen. That just wouldn't happen. For a few Grand Prix here and there, like a spare Grand Prix, 1 or 2, for some sabotage. Yeah, I could see that happening. But for all of these Grand Prix, at the back end of the season, no, that's too expensive. That's way too expensive. So, currently, Alpine have a problem. Right, yes, Alonso, he is the unluckiest man in F1. He's had another DNF. Another one. A water leak. What did they say? That was the 4th water leak of the season. Oh, bad. But, on some level, you would rather have an unlucky but reliably fast Alonso than a questionably fast Ocon with a wacky temperament, and a questionable Gasly now, also with wacky temperament. Tsunoda, he's also got a wacky temperament, but well, he's outperforming Gasly at the back end of the season. I don't know what else there is to say about it. Alright, so Alpine Alpine look like they're just losing. They're just taking loss after loss after loss. Started with this whole Piastri thing, and Otmar just fucked up all of their metaphysics. you gotta do some more blood sacrifices. Anyway, allegedly. Whoa. Oh, whoa. Whew, boy, they're talking spice over here now. But yeah, you got problems. You got problems over there at Alpine. My suggestion, put the Renault badge on it. Just put the Renault badge on it, or fuck it, call it Lotus again. Right? Choose your poison on that. Alright, Guan Yu Zhou is Rookie of the Season. Of course, he's the only rookie on the grid this season. But he is Rookie of the Season, and he is actually quite a welcome addition to the grid. Right, I'm pretty sure he will probably win a Grand Prix somewhere. Maybe Shanghai, somewhere. But it won't be for a while. Unless Audi buy a Grand Prix win somewhere. Who knows? Anything could happen. Allegedly. Allegedly. But Guan Yu Zhou, he is a welcome addition to the F1 grid. He had his his spiciest moments was at Imola. Who did he collide with? Was it Gasly who he collided with there? That was his worst moment of the season. And I mean that was just a Ricky era at the end of the day. So he's looked the part. Right, he's looked like a seasoned F1 driver. Of course, he's had his accidents at Silverstone, but I mean he's shaking it off like a veteran. And he's a rookie. He's looked more the part than either Latifi or Baby Schumacher. Right, I'm gonna get to Latifi and Baby Schumacher in a second, right? But right now, I just want to congratulations to Guan Yu Zhou. Welcome to F1. And Alfa Romeo / Sauber, it's really the Sauber team now. They probably can't wait for Audi to start throwing some money. Or maybe not throwing some money at them, but throwing some expertise at them. They probably can't wait for that. Like, it can't happen soon enough. Bottas might want it to happen next year. It might actually start happening next year. We'll see what happens on that. Alright, did Sebastian Vettel speed in the pit lane? No, he did not. I think what the drivers actually do there at Abu Dhabi is they go under speed, because the pit lane exit is it's a Mazzolini, right? So they underspeed it, and say if he was like, "Oh, I'm going too fast before I hit this incline over here," you go downhill into that section. So he probably thought in his head, "Ooh, I'm going too fast to actually make this pit lane exit corner." Dabbed on the brakes, tires locked up. Whoa, optics, but nothing. He wasn't given a penalty or anything, so I'm just gonna assume that there's some esoterica around how to exit the Abu Dhabi pit lane. Right, fascinatingly, as noted by commentary, no driver has ever crashed in this Abu Dhabi pit lane exit. There were a whole lot of predictions when the whole track was unveiled, like, this pit lane exit, someone's gonna crash here. Never happened. Right, I suppose this is why, because even the pit lane speed limit is over speed for that exit, so so it's never gonna happen. Well, I suppose it will happen. Someone's gonna get a Rufus one day. But anyway, I'll get to Vettel's video after I post this. Has Stroll had a good Grand Prix? Stroll has had a lucky Grand Prix. A very lucky Grand Prix. He's been good. I mean, he's had more good races than bad post summer break. That's for sure. He's had some very impressive Grand Prix post summer break. But yeah, here in Abu Dhabi, he's just been lucky. He's just gotten a quite lucky and fortunate finish. Didn't have to do too much defending. Anyway. Alright, so Nicholas Latifi has been replaced by Logan Sargent. And Baby Schumacher is being replaced by Nico Hülkenberg. Alright, so what we're learning now is the name can get you the opportunity, but you need to demonstrate the ability to actually keep the seat. And 2, the money can get you the seat, but the teams aren't going to opt into money forever. Right, mind you, Logan Sargent himself probably comes with some sort of money. Probably does come with some sort of money, but nothing like Latifi's money, that's for sure. And Latifi's money ain't worth it. Right, he's still got to produce a baseline level of talent, of ability, and he does not do that. But I do want to just mention one thing with Latifi, and that is stop blaming Latifi for 2021. Stop that. Latifi did nothing. He crashed the car. Anyone could have crashed the car. He crashed the car. If procedure was followed, then nothing happened. Right, if Massey followed procedure, I mean, I don't know, Latifi probably gets to go pick a Mercedes from the fucking showroom. Take your pick. Can even take that concept car if you want. Who knows? Probably not, but that might have been something that happened. That's the alternate universe happening somewhere. But really, stop blaming Latifi for 2021. All he did was crash the car. Right, anyone can crash the car at any given time. All he did was crash the car. Shit happens. What's not supposed to happen is for actual codified procedures to be skirted after the fact. That's not what's supposed to happen. Right. Likewise, Checo Perez, he gets too much credit for 2021. Like, yo, Checo did fucking nothing. In the final analysis, Checo did nothing. What did Checo do? Hold up to Lewis Hamilton. It didn't matter. That didn't matter in the final analysis. Oh, but Max Miller wouldn't have been close enough to make his change for tires or whatever you were. Brother, yeah, that don't matter. So what if Maximilian changes the tires if the procedures were followed correctly in terms of how to restart the Grand Prix? It wouldn't have mattered that he changed the tires. It wouldn't have mattered that Checo ran his Ministry of Defense job on Susan. Wouldn't matter. None of that shit matters. Right, why am I saying this? Just to focus people. Don't be talking about sidemen here. Don't be talking about the distractions. Like, these guys didn't do shit. These guys are just actors in the play. They're extras even. They're extras in the play. They didn't do nothing. You get me? But anyway, Hülkenberg is now replacing Baby Schumacher. The name can get you this. Well, the name will get you the opportunity. It's not going to keep you the seat. It's just simply not going to keep you the seat. And well, Baby Schumacher, he might feel a little hard done by. Right? Why might Baby Schumacher feel a little hard done by? Well, one, he's raced to a serviceable level this season. And 2, he might, in his own head, think that, well, if I got an Alfa Romeo seat like Charlie Leclerc, they would have already put me in the Ferrari seat. Right? He might be thinking that in his head. Because Alfa Romeo coming from Sauber is a serious privateer. They've at least got some racing chops about them. Haas, okay, someone wants to say Eugene Haas is racing all the motorsports in America and what have you. That's cool. That's cool and all. But you gotta have racing chops in F1. Right, and Alfa Romeo / Sauber, they have that. Right, they were making Kimi Räikkönen punch above his weight, or punch above the car's weight. Right, they were making Felipe Massa punch above the car's weight. Right, they've got history of this stuff. Charlie Leclerc gets in the Alfa Romeo seat. Oh my god, this rookie's so good. He just had a better team around him. A better structure. So baby Schumacher, he might be feeling hard done by it. He could genuinely say, well, if I got an Alfa Romeo seat, and not this clown show Haas seat, well, you could probably still have a seat in F1 for 2023. Alright, but baby Schumacher, he'll probably be back someday. He'll probably be back. I'm not particularly sure where he might come back. I'm not particularly sure what he will do in the interim. But he will probably be back some points in the future. Maybe with Audi. But otherwise, Latifi and baby Schumacher doing their synchronized spins. I mean, that capped off. That capped off the whole thing for me. Oh man, that capped off the whole thing. The two guys who are losing their seats on account of just outright not being good enough. At least Daniel Ricciardo, you could say he's depleted. He's just losing your seats because you're not good enough. And they've even gone with, seen it 1,000 times, Nico Hülkenberg to replace you, right? They didn't go with some spicy upstart from Formula 2. I wonder if Haas could even attract some spicy upstart from Formula 2. Anyway. Anyway. My one consternation with getting Hülkenberg is that we've seen him. Right? He's not as good as people thought he was going to be. Oh man, I remember when people thought Hülkenberg was going to get a world championship or something. Oh, goodness me. Oh my god, he put it on pole in Brazil. Oh, this guy's going to get a championship someday. Put him in a Rio, put him in a Mercedes. Let's see what he does. Put him in. Man. It just don't work like that. It really just don't work like that. But anyway. There were better options than Hülkenberg, as far as I'm concerned. Any of these Formula 2 upstarts would have been an interesting addition. I'm pretty sure they could have put Jack Doohan in the seat for Alpine and gotten some sort of money for that. But otherwise, you know, Gunther, he has his designs. Haas, Gene Haas, he's got his expectations, and yeah, I suppose neither of them have time to fuck around. But anyway, that should be the observations. That should be the video. The longest season in F1 history. Verstappen didn't help in separation. I really can't believe they're gonna make. They want to have a 25 race calendar as like the magnum opus. Whew. Tell you what, I ain't doing no GP observations if we're talking 25 fucking Grand Prix. Anyway. Anyway, that's the vid. Peace. Thanks for watching.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there. Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! See, you really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go and then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow and then I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win and then I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a ref and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it comes to doing this and I be banging on my chest and I'm banging the east and I'm banging in the west and I Can I give you more and I will never give you less? You will hear it in the street and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it and we all up in the race. And you know we gotta go now try to keep up with the pace. And we struggling and hustling and set it and get it. And we always gotta do it, take it to another place.